Hello, I'm Sunil Agarwal, the Director for the Pune Smart Sanitation City project, and here we are in the city of Pune in Maharashtra, India. On the World Toilet Day, some of the sessions are live, but this is a pre-recorded session, and we are going to talk a little bit about the Smart Sanitation project on the World Toilet Day. Now, what do we mean by Smart Sanitation project? As the name suggests, when we talk about sanitation, we are not talking about the traditional sanitation where sanitation is looked up as a cost, as an expense factor for the municipal bodies. Under the Smart Sanitation City project, we are looking at using smart technologies and also bringing in businesses together to develop solutions that would help in resource recovery and also provide clean and hygienic toilets for the general public, and at the same time help the city to achieve its goal of providing clean and hygienic toilets for everybody. The project has two major stakeholders besides TBC partners, that is the Pune Municipal Corporation and the Pune Smart City. This project is being implemented with the help of these two government bodies that are actively working with TBC for the implementation of this project. Today we will also see the recordings of the interviews with the CEO of Pune Smart City and the City Development Officer in the city of Pune. Hello. We have Dr. Rajendra Jagtap here with us, the CEO of Pune Smart City, which is one of the implementation partners with the Toilet Board Coalition in the Pune Smart Sanitation City project. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, according to you, what is the role of sanitation in the Pune Smart City project?
So when we talk about smart cities, health and sanitation becomes a very important and prime factor as one of the areas that touches the citizens at large, since it deals directly with the health of the citizens, and becoming a primary factor both on the roads as well as at home and at the city level. We should be very much sure, and that's why we try to integrate and incorporate sanitation as one of the components while dealing and looking towards new smarter solutions to mitigate this problem and make it a much more efficient service for the city.
And what do you think, how does the current Pune Smart Sanitation City project that we are working with TBC fit into the Pune Smart Sanitation City project and the Pune Smart City project?
So TBC, the Toilet Board, has been closely involved in the city of Pune, and while working with the Municipal Corporation per se, where a lot of physical elements of different sanitation interventions is happening, especially in the technological front as to interventions that are to be seen to happen, especially for different kind of sensors to be put in, compilation of data, as well as solutions that are quite new to the city environment, be it in form of the sewage treatment plant and recycling and reusable of waters. These are those areas where TBC is doing a very good hand-holding with the Pune Smart City to ensure that we are able to adapt new technologies and new systems into the city environment.
So one of the interesting components of this project right now is the data around the community health. So how do you see this data as a potential game changer for the sanitation systems in the city of Pune?
Now again, like I told, sanitation has a direct correlation pertaining to the health of the citizens, which is a primary factor, and here again the amount of data that gets collected over the system, be it on the woman's tea toilet that is happening as of now, or the different sensors in form of termites and others that we plan to put up in the community toilets and other systems into the sanitation system. We'll be able to compile a lot of data which will help us to correlate and analyze with the different parameters of information that has been compiled. And since in the city of Pune, the Pune Municipal Corporation and the Smart City are the only agencies who are into kind of a system where we go for not just a curative kind of medicine but also a preventive kind of a medicine, and this data becomes very important. And in this whole system, we can see that those different new kinds of sensors that have been provided by the TBC along with its partners, the European Space Agencies and the media labs that is there, we'll be able to go a long distance, and this kind of real-time data collection will be helpful to come up with good predictive and proactive solutions in the future.
And besides health information, what other data is being collected from the public and the community toilets in Pune?
So we could see that a new kind of a sensory mechanism called thermites that have been developed by the MIT Media Systems, the TBC partner, which is compiling a lot of data pertaining to biosensors into the toilets, which combines information pertaining to the quality of air. I think this, if it is added on and if the parameters that are being talked on in future pertaining to different health parameters and sensors that will be imbibed into the system, we may have a lot of information which will help us, which is helping right now, even as to how the scheduling of the cleaning of the toilets is to be adjusted, as well as what is the usage into the particular kind of system. The Wi-Fi systems that are available there uses a feedback mechanism as to the happiness quotient of the usage of each of these parameters. So that's good enough information pertaining to the kind of services that have been provided, vis-a-vis the quality of maintenance as well as the timing schedule for the cleanliness of these toilets is to be ensured.
And how do you think the current project would help you in the resource recovery from the existing sewage treatment plants that are located all over the city of Pune?
So now when we look at pertaining to sewage, what we see is that the city today takes in about 1100 MLD plus of water for its supply all across the city, and it's about 750 MLD odd sewage that is coming to the drainage system into different STP plants. We have about 10 odd STP plants which are functioning in the city of Pune, which are processing close to about 550 MLD of raw sewage through a primary and secondary kind of system. The remaining sewage is flowing out into the rivers, which has to be processed and to be undertaken, where a scheme by the Pune Municipal Corporation with Zyka and NRCD is being implemented. And hopefully in a period of about 5 to 6 years, we'll be able to process all this sewage treatment into a primary and secondary kind of water. But the real challenge for us is where we say that this water, if it can be recycled and be brought to reuse, where the tertiary kind of system comes into importance. And in the smart city area of Baner is where we have we'll be taking help from the TBC to give us inputs pertaining to setting up a mechanism under a procedure to procure and convert this secondary wastewater through a tertiary system and make it and bring it to a quality where it can be used for the industry, agriculture, gardening, construction or allied activities. And we are able to process, say, on a plant of about 20 MLD, almost a recovery of 19 MLD plus of water can be brought into the system, which is equivalent to adding almost one small dam in a year. So that is the potential that we see forward. Again, since this will be again a unique kind of project in India, happening in a municipal corporation with such kind of parameters, replication of these models is something which we see as a much larger scope in the smart city as well as in the whole city of Pune.
That sounds actually very exciting, sir. So can you please tell us briefly about the Command and Control Center and how the data is being integrated?
So the Pune Smart City has formed an integrated Command and Control Center for the city of Pune with a lot of integration that is going to happen with the Pune Municipal Corporation, where data pertaining to their solid waste details and the sanitation details, the fire department, the garden department and other departments will be integrated into the system. Vis-a-vis the Pune Municipal Transportation, where data pertaining to their transportation vehicles and other components of different sensors comes into the integrated command and control center. Today, a unique kind of a different sensors are provided by TBC into the sanitation mode, which are available in the toilets and which will be available at different health and public spaces. Will give a unique kind of a data, which again, if integrated with the different sources of data that is there, probably this analytical model will help us to go for a different kind of a predictive and a proactive kind of an approach at the city planning level and implementation level in the future. And this integration and command control center will be an asset for the city, where it is already has its own kind of sensory layer as well as a reciprocatory layer, which comes in form of push notifications that go to the citizens, as well as the VMDs and public addressal system which is available on the city roads.
So I think this data could also be gelled in with the flood sensors and other sensors, and that can be used as an integrated way. I believe that's the reason why we have the integrated command and control. Okay. So how do you plan to use the sanitation data, especially related to the toilet usage and the preventative health related information that gets collected at the command and control center?
So you see the data that comes out with the sanitation kind of system gets directly correlated with the health. So since it is to a specific location, the geographical location of that area as well as the community that is residing there, with the kind of outbreak of a kind of an or the health parameters that have been assessed, will help us in the long term where this kind of rich data can go in for resolving problems of prevention, and along with a different kind of a curative kind of system where region specific or community specific medicines can be produced and supplied well in time, so that we have better and healthier communities and a smarter solution for the city of Pune and the country.
So I think this would help you in actually targeting specific communities for specific type of outbreak or any such preventative measures that can be taken.
So basically the information which is today, the data that is not available into a regular kind of system, this kind of sensors will enrich us with that kind of a data, which will give that kind of solutions to us.
Great. And so finally, what do you think other cities can learn from the Pune Smart Sanitation City project?
Basically what we see that in India today, most of the cities have their different silos of government departments which are working in isolation, and while working so, when you create an infrastructure like an integrated command and control center, where one of the silos or one of the department of sanitation gets integrated into the whole system, and it helps you into the city planning and implementation, I think the other cities should follow. So rather than having just basic information pertaining to other kind of sources and sensors, this is kind of a unique and distinct kind of and sanitation information and sensors that can be implemented and will help the cities to be much more proactive, as well as to adopt new healthier and cleaner kind of a system into their own mechanism.
So what exactly do you think you would expect from the project now that the benchmark is like set so high? So what do you expect from this project when the project comes to an end next year?
So we see that Pune would have been able to compile a lot of data and everything, which normally would have not flown to us on from our system and our mechanism which is there. And since this is already a part of the command and control center, the analysis of this data will give us an enriched kind of a mechanism to understand the whole concept, as well as trying and testing out this new kind of sensors into a real world condition and its adaptability to cities like Pune, which has its own base of population and usage and different parameters which will be helpful. And I think even with the given limited amount of time, the TBC has been able to help us not just with the sensors and everything, but even with new ideas and innovations that we're trying in the area of sanitation and use of sewage water and others. And I think this will be much more helpful because this support will help us adopt new technologies, new ideas and new solutions for the city of Pune.
So I think this would also give the businesses a lot of opportunity in terms of invest and eventually perhaps help the city in terms of reducing the cost of maintenance and operation of the toilets, and also help the city to recover the resources that are currently being unutilized at the moment.
See, basically what happens, the real-time data information that is being provided out of the whole system, it has multifold kind of an intervention. So there's a help which comes to the city per se, where we say the corporation gets an idea about redeployment of its resources, be it the human resources or the other resources that is required for day-to-day cleaning, maintenance, upkeep, as well as creation of new infrastructure that is required as per the need and demand of the city. We talk about at the smart city level, where the integration of this data with the command and control center helps us in planning and implementation in the future. When we go into the private sector or the corporate sector, the information is something which can be built up to give out different kind of frugal innovations and solutions that may come out, as well as coming out with new technologies, new solutions, new products that may be helpful for the city to mitigate the problems of sanitation and provide better health facilities in the future based on this rich data that will be available to all of us.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving your time on the World Toilet Day, and thank you very much for your uninhibited support to the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hi, today we have the City Data Officer, Ms. Anita Kane. In fact, she is the first City Data Officer for an urban local body in India, Welcome Anita on behalf of Toilet Board Coalition on this discussion on the World Toilet Day. So could you please help us understand your role as the City Data Officer in this particular project?
Okay, first of all, thanks Sunil and Toilet Board Coalition for the opportunity to speak about this project and the data related aspects on this. And I've been fortunate to be involved in this project for since its inception, more or less. So it's been almost a year that I've been engaged, and I've seen this project build through these 9-10 months that I've been closely associated with it. Coming to my role, it's very simple. See, my role is to assist the project team with their data efforts. So what are these? One thing is, we try to integrate the data with the Smart City Command and Control Center. That's one. And the bigger and possibly the more important aspect is about putting together a data governance framework, because we are taking data and then bringing it into the open data realm, sharing it with the businesses. So this governance framework becomes important. So the checks and balances that need to be put in place, that's more or less my role with this project.
In fact, it's interesting that you talk about this role in terms of data and other things, because we were talking in an earlier video with the CEO of Smart City where he talked about the integrated command and control center. So now let me ask a question related to data. So what do you think is the role of data per se in the Smart Sanitation City project here in Pune?
Well, as you know, in the community and public toilets, we are installing a lot of active devices or sensors, sensor equipment, all IoT enabled. So once these are being installed, then there is a lot of data that's getting generated. For example, we have the footfall sensor that is installed. So the footfall sensor, is telling us what are the people or how many people are visiting. The timestamp and things like that, correct? So we know the peak times for the toilet. That's important for the maintenance cycle, for planning the maintenance cycle. The toilet needs to be clean before the peak, and then it probably needs to be serviced even after that.
So as to ensure that the toilet is always clean whenever people walk in to use it.
Correct.
Okay.
And then for the sort of government or for the urban local body, there's some investment that has gone into putting up this
creating
toilet.
that infrastructure.
Yeah, yes. Creating the infrastructure. So the usage statistics, tells them that it is being used. And I also know that there are some toilets which are mobile, just in case you feel that the footfalls are not adequate, because when you try and compare, once the statistics is available, you can compare across the numerous toilets, how the usage pattern is. If you feel the location needs to be changed, maybe that could also be done. So this is about the footfall sensor. Then we are also monitoring the hand wash usage, the hand wash soap usage. So, it's telling us among so many people that visited, how many actually use the hand wash. So it's giving some idea about the personal hygiene habits.
Of the people.
So this data again is important.
So I think this information would actually also help in communicating a lot of behavior change communication related videos and other things, because of the free Wi-Fi that's provided in these toilets. So perhaps that would be a very good opportunity for bringing in a behavior change among the people by showing, like, let's say if you have the statistic in terms of the 100 people using the toilet, let's say only 40 people are actually using the hand wash. So for the remaining 60, they're not using it. So we may not be able to pinpoint who is using and who is not using, but the people who are actually accessing the Wi-Fi in these toilets, for them, maybe we can run some videos and behavior change communication material that would perhaps enhance the habit of personal hygiene and implement that kind of things. Yeah, I think that's a great opportunity, right?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
And what other data besides footfall sensor and the user feedback? Is there any other thing that you could add to that?
There is, we've also put sensors on to monitor the ambient air quality.
So are you referring to the termites from the MIT Media Labs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So these have been put up. Now they are sensing, what's the quality of the air within the toilet. So let's say that, the odor level has increased. So if the odor level has increased, now this gives us very interesting opportunities, I think, which are probably planned. Probably this can be used to, start some mechanical ventilation system, for example.
Right.
Also, it could be used to alert the operator who is responsible for cleaning the toilet to possibly, have an additional round of cleaning.
Okay.
So these are some of the smart.
I'm also given to understand that these termites actually capture the information regarding the light, regarding the humidity, regarding the temperature in the toilets. So perhaps these could be helpful in terms of analyzing to look at what exactly is the quality of the air and the atmosphere within the toilet. So I think it's a great initiative. What do you think?
Yes, I think it's definitely, it's starting, so to say, what we call as a next gen, and I must congratulate the Toilet Board Coalition for bringing in some of this thinking and this initiative. And there's a lot of forward-looking plans which are in place. So there's this plan to put in robos in the toilet resources.
Are you referring to the LUGI?
Yes. So.
Yeah, and I think even Toilet Board Coalition is right now working with the European Space Agency to develop a commercial feasibility to look at these sensors that could help in detecting preventive health measures from the toilet resources that get generated in the toilets. So I think that would also pose in a lot of questions for you in terms of the data policy, the data framework, and all that related subjects, right?
Yes. So, what data can go out, what data should not be related to, we should not be able to correlate it to any individual. Security is not a very important aspect here, but we definitely need to look at location aspects so that, because
so you're referring to the data privacy related challenges, so that anonymity of the users or that kind of frameworks that needs to be ensured that no data point is correlated to any one particular person who is using the toilet, but at the community level perhaps that data could help in bringing intel to the Pune Municipal Corporation's health department to spread out information if there is going to be an outbreak of a disease or any other such relevant measures, so that perhaps that could help in having direct targeted interventions from the urban local body, right?
Yes. This is really a great opportunity, to sort of build an early warning system, because then the complete administration can be aligned in terms of availability of medicines and things like that. Some of the infectious diseases have this issue about non-availability of medicines, right? Yes. So this is definitely something very interesting. Yes.
And finally, what opportunities do you see in this project in terms of data-driven decision making? Because that is one of the biggest aspects of this Smart Sanitation City project, that the data that gets generated needs to be in the hands of the decision makers, so that the decisions are made based on facts and figures which would come in terms of the data. So would you please shed some light on that?
Well, I think many of the examples which I have already taken is about, decision making. Starting with, I gave an example about even the positioning of a mobile public bus, for example, or a mobile public toilet could actually be decided, based on the footfalls, or could be changed basis that. The last case which we actually discussed, that is very interesting, trying to build a early warning system for infectious diseases, because we actually may be able to succeed in preventing epidemic, which is very big, right? So it could be even things like dysentery and
basic regular health disorders that you talk about, the diarrhea, the diseases.
So it is. There are multiple opportunities, through this, and I think the biggest thing will also be about good data on the maintenance cost. So this will help make the model scalable. If you look at the Pune Municipal Corporation, then you get real statistics on how many people are using, how much you are spending, whether there is an opportunity to tune some of your spending, correct?
So what I hear from you is there are a lot of opportunities with the data. Number one, for the decision maker to understand whether a particular location is usable by the people based on the footfall, the level of service that needs to be done. The second one is for the businesses. One is the operator of the toilet to decide based on the footfall and the time to decide on the peak usage and then schedule the maintenance accordingly, and also the kind of people by running through surveys, through the Wi-Fi, that would also help them in terms of advertising, that would act as one of the sources of revenue for them to maintain a sustainable business model here in the maintenance of the toilet. Yes. And also for the city in terms of overall the kind of data that gets generated, which currently our cities are lacking very majorly. So perhaps this data can help in building artificial intelligence to take it forward to the next level. So I hope this project would be able to do that. So overall, being associated with the TBC's project in the capacity of a data officer on behalf of PMC, so how do you think? Are you excited about it? What are your expectations by the end of next year in 2019, when the project would come to its logical conclusion?
It's certainly very exciting, because what we are trying to do is almost like first of its kind. It's certainly, I'm proud to be part of this rather.
I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you very much, Anita, for taking out time from your busy schedule. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the video and the interviews of some of the speakers here today. Today we are also launching the interim report on the Pune project. You can find a copy of this on our website www.toiletboard.org. Thank you for watching the videos.